Welcome to this week's edition of Pound for Pound ATL's Think Tank. You already know, if we think about it, we gonna talk about it. And shout out to the Atlanta Falcons, 3-3 for the first time in quite some time as a football team. And shout out to Kyle Pitts. It took him a minute to get going, but guys, these last two games, Kyle Pitts and Matt Ryan have been nailing it. Over 400 some yards in his first 6 games as a rookie and 1 touchdown. And believe me, the touchdowns are going to come. And it's looking like early that the Falcons have made the right decision to take Kyle Pitts at number 4 overall. Because you know what? The other quarterbacks, the rookie quarterbacks that some of us were clamoring for that we felt the Falcons should have taken at number 4, they're not looking so well. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I had a conversation with a gentleman who is a Broncos fan, dedicated Broncos fan, supports the team. And we were talking about their revolving door QB situation that they've had since Peyton Manning hung up the cleats. His last season was 2015. And I think at that time they had drafted Trevor Siemian at 7th round pick for the Broncos. And I'm going to tell you right now, he was the only one that they really had some winning moments with. Other than that, guys, think about this for a moment. They are on the 11th quarterback for that team right now, and that's Teddy Bridgewater. Let me say that again. Since Peyton Manning officially retired in 2016, they are on now their 11th quarterback. Okay, Teddy Bridgewater. Guys, that's not a good sign. It's been a revolving door for that team over there. They've stuck with trying to go with the continued ingredient of great defense and having a quarterback that at least don't mess things up. But unfortunately, they continue to get quarterbacks that mess things up. I mean, you draft Paxton Lynch. A lot of y'all who remember Paxton Lynch. And for whatever reason, they seem to have John Elway some fixation on these taller quarterbacks, 6'7", because they went out and signed Brock Osweiler. I think a lot of you remember him coming over from the Texans because he looked a little good there. They ended up signing him and paid him a pretty good amount of bread, and he wasn't that good. I mean, you take somebody, Paxton Lynch, in the first round at 26th overall selection, and he does not pan out for you and is no longer a Bronco. Guys, that is not good. You go out and get someone, Drew Lock, in 2019 in the 2nd round, and you still don't feel like he is good for you. That's not good. And this Broncos team, when you're facing guys like Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, and now Justin Herbert over there in that division, and you don't have a quarterback that can compete with that, Teddy Bridgewater, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, is not going to do. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because when you start thinking about that type of stuff, however long for Matt Ryan, who is going to be here for the Atlanta Falcons, we do not know if it's going to be one of those situations where they're going to let Matt Ryan decide when he's ready to hang up the cleats, or they have to financially make a decision to move on. But as of right now, Matt Ryan is making some of us eat crow. And I don't mind eating crow because I know earlier during the season after that Philadelphia game and what happened at the last little bit of that Tampa game, I was like, I don't know if I got any more support for Matt Ryan. And I'll be the first to admit that. But Matt Ryan right now is making me eat some serious crow. 12 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Now, he's had a couple of fumbles, but hey, the 1 interception really wasn't his fault. Calvin Ridley got that ball muscled out of his hands, and that was that on that. But anyway, Matt Ryan is having a pretty good season, and it seems like Arthur Smith is really leaning heavily on his passing prowess because let's face it, guys, we have not been able to run the football, which is one of the attributes we were looking for Arthur Smith to bring over here. But as he said before, you don't have a Derrick Henry. You got to deal with what you have. But Patterson has been doing a pretty good job for Matt Ryan and this offense, Arthur Smith, with now 6 touchdowns on the season. And that's a big, huge amount for a guy that many could not figure out how to use this guy. But Arthur Smith, Dave Ragone, and that offensive staff have definitely figured out how to do it. And Matt Ryan is doing what he needs to do and handling his business. And I'm just hoping that the Atlanta Falcons have a plan, because for however long Matt Ryan is here, we definitely do not want to have a revolving door at that position when it is time to move on from Matt Ryan. We don't want to have to go through a situation where we draft someone and they don't end up doing well, just like what is happening to the Broncos right now. Ladies and gentlemen, if you hadn't looked at it, them quarterbacks we talked about with Justin Fields looks like he is a guy not ready for the NFL right now. Plus, Matt Nagy and that staff over there is setting that guy up to fail right now early in his career. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I mean, you look at Zach Wilson, who is throwing picks more than a little bit. Right now, they don't have the tools over there with that new head coach that they got over there in Saleh to be able to help Zach Wilson have success his first year. A lot of times you thinking you can go and do what Joe Flacco and Matt Ryan was able to do going into their rookie seasons for the Atlanta Falcons and the Baltimore Ravens. It's not that easy to be able to do. Even Patrick Mahomes had to sit a little bit before he was able to do anything that he needed to do to be successful with Alex Smith. They built that team up so that when Patrick Mahomes came in for the Kansas City Chiefs, he would have the success and had the time that he needed to be able to grow with Andy Reid and that offense. But you're not getting that these days. Look, Trevor Lawrence just got his first win against the Miami Dolphins, who we just played, and edged out a win over with a winning field goal by Koo that we're going to talk about, and I can't wait to get with the fellas on Wednesday and have this conversation about this win being at 3-3. But you're doing this even though your defense hasn't been that consistent. Matt Ryan has been consistent after those first 2 games of the season and is showing that he deserves to be here a little bit longer for the Atlanta Falcons. But Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith do not take for granted having someone like Matt Ryan, because you're going to have a plan in place to find someone who will eventually be able to take over for the future Hall of Famer, who already is up on them all-time lists in passing yards and now 5,000 completions. I mean, it's quite natural if you're someone like Arthur Smith who predicates yourself on having a huge running game to get caught up in wanting Matt Ryan to ultimately have the balls in his hand to throw the football 41 times a game, which Matt Ryan is currently averaging right now as the Falcons starter. But hopefully we will see some kind of plan there, because don't take too long. Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith trying to figure this out while Matt Ryan is buying your time. Hey, other than that, look, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. Continue to share, like, comment, and join us more than likely every Wednesday, unless something comes up, at 7 p.m. doing our live stream covering what we saw post-game, and on Friday when we do our preview of the next opponent that we will have to face. Other than that, my name is Toby D. Shout out to JR. Shout out to Jimbo. Shout out to Big Mike Dub. Hey, peace. I'm out.